What's up, everyone? It's Charles here with Rocket Punch Army to do a fix-it review for the MP-20 KO Wheeljack by Takasa Tony. Now, many of you may have watched my review. There was a couple of issues, and now that these are starting to get into the hands of people, pretty much everybody has the same complaints. And I'm here to help sort those out to make this a better figure. One of the issues was the limp missile, and that happens to all of us once in a while. We get limp missile. Also, we get the dreaded popping out of the shoulders here, which is very annoying. But there is a very easy fix for that. And then the next two require some modifications, which I won't be doing, but I'll show you what you need to do to get them to work. It requires actually cutting plastic. So if you're not, too comfortable with that, you may want to leave those as they're not really that big of a deal anyway. One of them is having perfect fitment of the gun here into the hand, and also using this as an exhaust when he's in vehicle mode. Like I said, a lot of this is rather easy, except for the modification ones. What you're going to need is, of course, the KO Wheeljack. You're also going to need a precision screwdriver set. You don't need all of these. I'm just showing this to you because if you don't have any, I picked these up at Harbor Freight for about $3, so it's got everything you possibly need there. And you're also going to need a toothpick. Alright, so let's get started here. The first thing we're going to do is the limp missile launcher thing. You'll notice this is very loose here. And the reason why it's so floppy is because of this right here. Alright, and I'm going to show you exactly why. First, you want to take the screw out of here, little teeny one, and don't lose it like I almost just did. And it's still not going to split apart yet. So what you want to do is push this front cap, it's the part that overlaps over the front, and push it with your thumb, and it should come off. It might be a little tough to do, but it will come off. It will slide right off. They didn't glue it. And separate this. Alright, and you should have the three pieces. So we'll take a look here. This piece has a hole. So does this part here where this pivots. But there's no pin. So what we're going to do here is create a pin. I don't know if they forgot it. I don't know if the original has a pin, but we're going to make a pin. So I took a toothpick. The problem with this one is it's like a square shaped one. So what I did is put it in the hole and just spin it around, and I let the hole of the plastic part just form a round shape to the toothpick. So if you have a square toothpick, just twist it around and you'll see it comes out the other end round, which is the cool thing about using wood. Then just simply untwist it again, and then the part that you want to use is not the pointy part. You want it to where it just starts getting thick. So cut it there with a little hobby knife or scissors, but just be careful. So the next thing we have to do is figure out how much of a toothpick we need for this. So let's see how much it goes in, just like that. And I'll angle it this way, around like that, so it kind of scores the edge of the toothpick, and you may not need to be so exact, and that's where I'm going to line up this thing here right up to that little score there. So you pretty much are going to need the same amount of toothpick on the other end. It doesn't have to be exact. You'll notice one side is longer than the other. We just need them to go in the hole when they close. Now, because you cut it, the diameter might be a little bit bigger, so you might want to push in the edges with a knife, not necessarily cut it, just push in the edges just a tad. So we're going to test this out. The one side goes in very nice. You'll see went in very nice there. Oh, but obviously you want this tab to be inside there. And then grab this other end. Hopefully it will pin right in. And it does. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is close this up. Put this little missile back in, and voila, you have a tight joint there. So let's test that out. We're going to pop this bad boy right in there, and you'll see now you can angle it. Definitely need a close-up shot here for that, so there you go. Now the next bit we're going to look at is the shoulders, which pop out rather easily. And this was happening during my review, even though this was tabbed in the back here. It was still happening, and I somehow got it to hold a little bit. You'll notice, and let me just move the camera up, that the top of these shoulders angle down compared to the top of his chest here. It should not be that way. There should be no angle. It should be very straight compared to that. So if we open up Wheeljack back here, this flap here, what I was usually doing with this is pushing it all the way down, then in, all right, which allowed me to bring this down, but it left a angle there, as you can see. So what you want to do with this flap here is try and keep it as close to the bottom of this U here. So as you bring it down, don't push it way back up there. You kind of want to bring it and kind of have it as close to the bottom as possible. It might take a little bit of work to get it there, as you can see. Bring it down just a tad. And once you do that, and obviously make sure these shoulders are in first, it should allow you to have the shoulders perfectly straight with the top of the chest. And once you bring this back and tab it, make sure it's securely tabbed, you have strong shoulders. Look at that, guys. So the issue with the shoulders is non-existent. Now the last two do require modification to plastic. One really doesn't, unless you need it, like, to be exact. But the pistol, the holding of the pistol, if we go ahead, grab the hand this way, a lot of people are having difficulty getting this in there, and most people just end up leaving it loose, and they're quite unhappy with the result. You don't have to do that. If you wedge it in this way, like I'm doing, and you kind of get the tab, it's very hard to show you, kind of just help it in, just see, and it kind of settles itself in. The tab is not actually in the recess part of the hand, but you'll see he's gripping it quite tight and straight, and all you do is bring the hand around. It does close around perfect, and the gun is nice and tight in the hand. But if you absolutely have to have it in that little recess, which really to me is not that big of a deal, what you need to do is take the pistol, and what you want to do is this tab here, back here actually, this one on the right side of the gun, if you're looking at it this way, this you have to shave the side. I wouldn't recommend really shaving the hand here since there's a pin there. It's probably a lot easier to do that on the pistol itself. Now one way of doing that is to take an X-Acto knife and not with your hands this way, but against a flat surface, and kind of just go in just a tad and then slice down. You want a very sharp X-Acto knife. You start from the very edge, you slice down as straight as you can, and then pull away, and that'll break it off the bottom. Or you can fold a, maybe not this big of a piece of sandpaper, but you want it to be a little rough, and you can just go back and forth against that, and obviously, you know, be wary of the paint. That'll take a little longer, and at least that way you can go little by little to test fit it. And that's if you really need that to be that way. Otherwise, as you see, the gun holds fine. Now the other thing, I'm not going to transform it into vehicle mode, but we'll go back to this flap over here, which is where, and you always want to be careful with the wings. And that's what I like the wings. I like the wings on the KO because they're not so hard to move around, so you can get them out of the way easily and not break them. So we're going to move this up, and this part would be the bottom of the vehicle towards the rear, and this would form the exhaust. This would plug, one of the tabs would plug in, and it should plug there, but it doesn't. And I've tried as hard as I can. Shaving the pistol will not help. It might help, and I don't suggest you try that, shaving it instead of from the side, from the top, because the difference is that the recess here is not deep at all. So when they do these KOs, they obviously reverse engineer. Their measurement was off with how deep that is. Maybe they didn't think it was a big deal. Maybe they didn't even know it plugs in there. But for whatever reason, it's not as deep as the original. Now if we look at the original, it might be hard to tell because it's kind of hard to film really small things. The original is a lot deeper, which gives space for the tab. And the KO gun does plug into the original fine. So it's just a matter of how deep this is. And the only way you're going to be able to get this gun to fit in there is to actually, again, take an X-Acto knife and cut away, like score around the rectangle. And again, I'm not doing this to mine. It's not that big of a deal to me, but you can score inside the rectangle until you actually get through to the other side. I don't know how you're going to file that down to make it deeper. You most likely have to just score it right through. But I'm going to tell you right now, unless you're used to scoring plastic and cutting out plastic, I don't suggest you do that. Number one, you'll probably chop your fingers off. Number two, it's going to take a long time. And that's about it for the fixes for these figures. These are the most common. These are the ones I've seen everybody have. So hopefully it takes a little bit of work, obviously, but hopefully this will get your Wheeljack to where you want it. And at this point, those were the only complaints I had in my review, and they're gone. So totally perfect figure now, just you know, a couple minutes worth of work, and it's perfect, guys. If you want to pick one of these up, you can grab one at tf-direct.com. There's a link below, and if you order you know, over 55 bucks, use code RPA5 to get $5 off your order. If you have any further questions or comments about this, if there's other issues that maybe start popping up, maybe I'll do a follow-up review, but leave anything down below and I will try and get back to you guys. Until next time, bye-bye.